GameStop, you suck.
Like, what? Welcome to SeerNova Podcast, episode 112. I really wish we were recording before because we were talking GameStop, and Krysta was talking about what it could have been. So yeah. Anyway.
Actually, yeah. So I wanted to start off with that. So you're saying you worked at GameStop, and they kept sending these beautiful things they were going to do.
Yes.
What were their plans? What were these grandiose visions?
So this was 10 years ago. So who knows what happened in the last 10 years? But I was a third key manager at GameStop, and they had this grand vision for the store of the future. And this was at the point where GameStop was monopolizing and taking over all these like smaller shops, your EB Games, your little mom and pop video game stores. They were taking over them and turning them into GameStops. But their whole plan was to make the store of the future a store where people could come and spend time and play games and really interact before they made their purchases. And so they would send us every 3 months, 6 months, every time we had the big meetings of the managers and the minds, these floor plans and these micro changes they were making to eventually get the stores up to code to be a store of the future. And in these plans they would send us, and these are little tiny itty bitty strip mall stores, and so these floor plans are 3 times the size of these actual businesses. But in the store of the future, there was a snack area where they had snacks and a soda dispenser and your frozen your mini
frozen slushies.
Yeah, your mini Circle K in the GameStop, where you could get your gamer slushie and your Mountain Dew and in your GameStop cup. And then they would have their Xbox section and their PlayStation section and their Wii section, and there was not just playing one demo of the month where it was your new Halo game or your new Call of Duty game. They had 4 or 5 of each game, and it was like an arcade. In this picture they would have 4 or 5 of them around a post, and you could go and you can play, and they'd have multiple demos on each one, or each 5 ones would have a different game that they were demoing. And there was just a lounge area with comfy chairs you could sit in and chat. And there was your Nintendo DS area. And there was, instead of just one DS that didn't work, that was stuck to the wall, it was a whole row of DSs or, Nintendo Switches.
For the stylus.
Yeah. That you could actually use. And it actually play, you could go and spend time there.
Well, if anybody that works at GameStop, the people that own it, if they listen to this podcast, they're about to get this idea. So I have an idea for them, and so the name is GameStop, so they can literally market it as stop by and game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they can create a subscription thing, because that's what everybody likes doing now. Mm-hmm. And you can create the power up rewards card that could turn into a subscription service type thing, and people could come. And I'm thinking it would be a movie theater experience, mm-hmm. and they can actually go to can I work for marketing for a game?
Right?
It's such a good idea though, that setting up that subscription, it's basically an arcade subscription, except that it's not like pinball, it's all the games you want to test out.
It's like Dave & Buster's, but it doesn't smell like pot and
stale popcorn and
It's also what's Xbox their game what the hell is it called? The thing you can sign up for Xbox now, where you get access to a bunch of games.
Not GameFly, but PlayStation has the same thing too, where you
kind of. Well, they have PSN. You get access to certain ones. Xbox has this one. It's $5 extra a month or $15 a month. You get access to hundreds of
all
games.
their old games.
Yeah. And new games.
Oh, really?
Xbox Gold or something? Or
was it Xbox Game? I gotta look this up because it'll drive me nuts.
I'm still stuck on GameFly. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah.
Oh, Game Pass. It's called Game Pass. Yes. So yes. Oh, this one is $15 a month. You get access to new games on it. It's crazy. There's a ton of awesome stuff on there.
When you pay $60 per game, usually.
Yeah. So that means that it would take you 4 months to buy a game. Which, if you're a real gamer, you're crushing these games in that amount of time. Anyways, move on to the next one.
And moving on. Yeah.
So it's such a great idea.
Yeah. So I think if I did have money to buy a movie theater that's like abandoned, because there are those now.
There's a lot of those now.
I would just take the movie theater and change it into a thing like that.
Oh, better yet, they don't even have to buy the movie theater. The movie theaters are hurting. They can get a rental at a discount. They could be like, "Yo, we'll rent out 3 of your studio or 3 of your movie theaters, and then we'll have game nights there."
Yeah.
Like it'd be crazy, like,
tournaments and stuff, and people could just be watching while there's like people like esports tournaments and stuff.
Because I've heard I've heard that a couple movie theaters have actually been renting out the movie theaters, like the whole theater, to different people, because like they couldn't get people to just buy normal tickets. So like, okay, we'll charge a little bit, probably like 3/4 of the seats to rent out the whole place, and that's way an amazing deal, because it would normally cost way more than that, and so you can bring a whole group of friends and family there for like a party.
Our theaters here have been doing that for quite some time. Even before COVID, you could rent out one of their like smaller theaters for like a birthday party or a family event, and you can either watch one of the shows that movies they already have, or you could do like a home video movie thing premiere.
That's awesome.
A lot of our we have a lot of like dollar theater. I guess they're not dollar theaters anymore. They're like discount theaters.
$1.25, like the Dollar Tree.
Right. Oh, that made me so mad when I went to the Dollar Tree, and now instead of 99 cents, it's $1.25. I'm like,
oh my God! Somebody posted the Arizona iced teas. They got them too. The 99 cents. Yeah. Like you get Arizona iced tea at like a 7-Eleven, and they would charge $1.25 just because they were like that. But it's like, no, it's at 99 cents in the can. They literally, I saw the first cans that had a dollar. I think it was $1.25 on them, and I was like, oh, that's brutal.
Makes me sad. Well, no, it's like if you go to the movies anytime now, it's like $16 a ticket to go, see the new movies that are out. It's crazy. I mean, I remember going and having my little allowance for $5 and going.
Yeah, it's like $5, then it was $7, and it was $10, and then you start going to the drive-in theaters, because for $10 you got 2 movies as opposed to the
and
one
you got to fit everybody in your van.
In the trunk.
You're like, put all the kids in the trunk, cover them with a blanket.
So we gave them oxygen, right? No. I miss drive-ins.
We have a drive-in still here. We have one drive-in left. It's got about 8 screens, and then we have one like old school roller rink that's been around since like the 1950s.
That's awesome. Upstate New York has all those things, but in Tennessee, I haven't found like the drive-in theaters if they exist. But upstate New York, there's still like 3 of them. There's like Jericho, Malta, and
it's because the mafia runs those.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, that's funny. Their websites look like they were made in like the late 80s. Like not even like a 90s website. They look like they used old like zeros and ones to build their websites. That's hilarious.
Joey Bag of Donuts built his website.
Yeah, Joey Bag of Donuts. Yeah, dang, that's right. I mean, I can't think of the third one. Malta, Jericho,
Malta.
Hollywood? Was it like Hollywood Drive-In, something like that?
Yeah, I think that exists somewhere. I don't.
Yeah, but there's like 3 of them in upstate New York, like in an hour of each other, half hour of each other.
Oh,
I think the last drive-in I went to was Malta, and
you think that they would have thrived?
I saw Toy Story 3, so that was the last.
I thought, you think during COVID they would have really thrived. Be in your own car, still see the movies.
Yeah, stay away from people in your little bubbles, right? Yeah, but it's poor marketing is all, because like they like I said, like their websites look like they were built like some of them really were built like in the late 90s, and then they've never been updated.
Oh yeah.
They've got like GIFs and stuff on there, little bouncing stars and stuff, and you're like, they put new movies on it. Like you'll see like the big movie poster, and then like. But then the background is like pixelated. Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah, I'm actually curious.
I remember our drive-through for a while wouldn't even take card. It was like cash for years, because they didn't have it. And it was funny, like you had like your little entrance, and then you had like your exit, and the exit had like the tire poppers.
Yeah.
So you couldn't go through the exit.
Yeah. I was supposed to go to a drive-in like a year or two, probably like 3 years ago, with my friends. But my one friend is like a zombie all the time, and he's just always tired. And I'm just like, because he's like got ADHD, but he takes like ADHD medication.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, just don't take it one time, and just be really annoying while we watched the movie.
Yeah. Somebody did it. Somebody took my idea. I was gonna rebuild these websites and like email them and be like, "Hey, I did this. If you want them." So they finally did it. They must have done this in like the last. I wonder if they did it during COVID. Both Jericho and Malta's websites have been updated.
Are updated.
Yeah, they look like reasonable websites now.
Yeah,
They even have emails.
Instead of do they just take cash still, or
No, they've taken card for a while.
oh, because Malta, like the last time I went, it was still like cash only. I was like, what?
Yeah, that's funny.
Like Toy Story 3 was like coming out. I was like, what?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I just remember the Malta drive-ins. Just we'd always like go in and watch one movie, and then if we didn't like that movie, we'd go to the other screen and watch that movie. But you're supposed to like stay because like you get back to back.
Yeah.
We're supposed to stay in one. I'm like, now we're gonna go watch the other one.
Or we'd park close to like two screens. Like if there was one that was playing one we wanted and one was playing the one that like the little kids wanted or the grown-ups wanted. And so we would, turn the radio on and listen to the one, but then we would like have another little radio that we would like sit and like a little bit separate from them and like turn it on so we could see the other movie at the same time.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think I actually remember doing that before, like going with a couple of cars, and then we could just decide which one we wanted to watch.
Yeah. Be like car hopping, like this movie we're going to be in this car, and then the next movie we're going to be in this car because we're like right in the middle of two screens. And you could bring your own snacks. That was the nice thing.
Yeah. I was looking at $11. Like that's what their admission price is. I'm looking at it now, like on their active site. That's awesome.
For a whole car and two movies.
This one's per adult now. No, that's
Oh, really? They're charging per adult?
Yeah, they've been doing that for a while though.
Ours still charges per car.
That's awesome. But is it like 20 though for a car or something like that?
I haven't been in a couple of years, but when we went like the year before COVID, I think it was like $15 for the car. And if you had like a van that fit like 12 people, then they charged you like $20.
Yeah, I think that's what it used to be. It was like for a car, it was this. For a van, it was this kind of thing. Or a truck, it was this. But then they switched to per person, but it was like $8 a person. Now it's up to $11. It's six for kids.
You're almost like at a point where you're like, might as well go to the main theater if they're going to charge that much.
But honestly, the big thing though is being able, like, you could bring like actually, I remember that some people would bring grills, like before the movie started. They'd play frisbee in front of the thing. Yeah. Yeah. So and then what they started doing was you used to be able to just bring it in. And then they started charging. I'm looking at it now. They would charge $5 per car if you want to bring in like a cooler and a bunch of stuff. So it's like a cooler permit.
Oh my gosh! We'd have a cooler full of drinks. We'd have a cooler full of like snacks. We'd have like bags of chips and all this other stuff. I mean, they still sold concessions. They had a whole like popcorn and soda and cotton candy, which always made me laugh because I'm like, you're literally going to the drive-thru, like you could bring all of this from home, but that line was always so busy.
I think it's just like the nostalgia of it too, because like I feel like you used to be able to go to the drive-in theaters for $1, and then for like a nickel you'd get a hot dog. Like is all that stuff. It's like the same with like carnivals. Like you could go to a theme park or you could go to a carnival, but people still go to carnivals. And it's just like it brings you back.
Are so expensive.
Yeah, they've definitely priced themselves out. Like it's crazy.
It's like you might as well go to Disneyland at that point.
Yeah, they're like $30 to $60 for a carnival, which is like what it would cost to go to a theme park, which is crazy. Yeah. Like even theme parks have season passes for like $100.
I never paid to go to Disney because my stepdad and my mom did that when we were kids. I went there once, so I don't know what it is to go.
It's like $130 a day now, and the season pass is like per person. And the season pass is $600.
500. Oh, 600.
It's $600 for the low one, and then it's like $800, and then it's like $1,100 for like the top tier. Yeah, see,
whenever I go to Six Flags, I'd always get the season pass, and then like the last 2 years that I did it, which would have been like 2017 and 18, I used to get the 2016 and 17, I used to get the what the hell is it called? Like the souped up one where you basically you get food and drinks and it's all included every single time you go, and I'm like, this is a dummy deal. Like after like 3 visits, I've earned money. Like I'm getting like money back.
No, Six Flags definitely has a really good deal. They've actually, again, people taking advantage of the system. They just changed their annual pass to be a limit of 10 meals a year. Because some guy was going every single day for lunch because he lived like 15 minutes from Six Flags, would go in, go get his lunch, and then go back to work.
That's stupid, though, to make it 10 for the season. That's not even worth it anymore. That's literally you just paying ahead of time, and if you don't go, you don't get it. But the whole point was that some people would buy the season pass. They'd go 2 or 3 times, maybe break even, and some people might only go a second time, be negative, and then the people that go 4 or 5 times are the ones making up for that. And balance out. It's like getting insurance. Like, it wouldn't make any sense if every time you got insurance, you had to pay for a totaled car. It's like, wait, what? Like, I'm trying to pay to not have to deal with the price of a totaled
even
car.
Though sometimes with insurance, I've been hearing a lot of these stories about how people like paid insurance for like 10 years, same company, same car, never had a claim, never had a ticket, and then like windshield broke, so they had it replaced, and then like 2 or 3 months later windshield broke again because construction, rocks, whatever, and the insurance company dropped them. They completely dropped them.
That should be illegal, like that kind of stuff, because like
because
that's why I hate insurance companies. Yeah.
And I was like, if I wouldn't have paid you, for 10 years worth of insurance for you to replace 2 windshields, and then to have you drop over that, like, you've made thousands upon thousands of dollars in the last 10 years, and I've used you to pay for $300 worth of windows in a 6-month period.
Yeah. It's almost as bad as GameStop.
Yeah.
Full circle. Bam! That's awesome.
It's crazy how the world has changed, that's for sure.
Yeah. I'm really just hoping that a lot of people just see what's been working over the last few years, pre-COVID, during COVID, all that stuff, and having the ability to start pivoting what they're doing, because there's so many good businesses that basically, it's like was not Barnes and Noble's, Borders, the one that closed, right? Like they basically said, oh, Amazon can handle online book sales, we don't have to, and then they went under. Right, Barnes and Noble's added Starbucks, and they started selling some of their books online. They're still around.
They made it an experience.
Yeah.
They made it where somebody could go get their coffee, grab a book, sit down, start reading it, get hooked, and be like, I need to finish this book, buy the book when they go home.
Or just
that's the other good thing. No, so there's plenty of people that have sat there and read the whole book, but then the other thing is like that builds loyalty to the point where, like, that happened to me one day. I visited a friend of mine wanted to go there. I never even really went to Barnes and Nobles. I always bought my books online at Amazon, and I basically went there a few times in a row with him, and I kept picking up books, checking them out. And then one of the days I was like, you know what, I really want to get this. I think it was what's the name of the book? The Art of War by was Lao Tzu, right? So I wanted to get that book. And I could have bought it on Amazon, but then I'm like, you know what? They had a really cool book that I didn't even see on Amazon. It was at Barnes & Noble. I might as well just buy it from them. And so I went there and I bought it. And that's because I had an experience there. Because I deal with marketing. And my biggest thing is that there's so many people out there that are like, just run ads and try to get these sales and scale. But the problem is, like, then like something like COVID or some pandemic or some, right now we have like giant amounts of inflation happening, and you all of a sudden all of your customers are gone because they have no loyalty to you because you didn't build an experience with them. And so like that's true across everything, GameStop, right? Specifically, And so that having an experience, having a memory, so that I'm like, you know what, I really need to buy it from them because they gave this to me. I wouldn't even known it existed without them. And because of that,
and it's the same thing, like, we buy we're a big board game family, and we play a lot of like Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons and like dice building games and card building games. And I could buy them on Amazon. I could buy them on like Board Game Direct, or there's like 3 or 4 different websites. But we have 2 local board game shops who've built an experience. I've gone in there, they greet you, they talk about what you've been playing, they ask how things have been going. Have you checked out this? Have you tried this? And their prices are pretty much, are similar, maybe a tiny bit higher. But it's like, I would rather go and support them and then end up buying 1 or 2 other things too to check out than to just buy it from Amazon. Like, it doesn't have the convenience of just buying and waiting for it to show up, but you have that experience. And oftentimes they have like, going back to the Barnes & Noble too, oftentimes they have exclusives, like your Barnes & Noble exclusive cover. I'm a big reader. I read 30 to 70 books a year, depending on the books. But I love collecting books too and having them look cool on my shelf. And Barnes & Noble often puts out a lot of these like Barnes & Noble exclusive covers, Barnes & Noble exclusive, like you pre-order
autographed ones.
Yes. I will say what's really annoying though is the permanent exclusive stickers. Have you seen those?
Oh, like where they put it on the cover and sometimes it blocks some of the text and like you can't take them off without.
And you can't pick them off because they're printed onto the actual cover itself. They're not like stickers like. They would do the like exclusive sticker and then you could peel it off. No. They like print it like it's part of the freaking cover. And it drives me crazy because there's no way to remove it.
Yeah. It's like the cool part is that it's exclusive, not that it comes from you. And it's like now you're making it so it's not as special. It's kind of like, you ever heard of Loot Crate?
Yes.
Yeah, like Loot Crate does a really good job at like, they'll get like Pop Funkos, stuff like that. And I actually remember my cousin used to collect those. But he didn't like everything in them. So one day I started selling all the stuff he didn't like. And because of their exclusives, I remember, the game Overwatch?
Yeah.
So there, what was it? There was like this time where one of the characters, one of the girl characters, I can't remember her name. She had a bunch of like controversy over her butt pose or whatever, something stupid like that. Yeah. And because of that, she like got highly sought after. And then Loot Crate dropped a box. It had her in it, but it was a custom color palette that was only given in Loot Crate, which means you couldn't even go buy it. You had to already be subscribed by that month. Super rare. I ended up selling that for the same price as the total box, and the box had 11 other items in it. It was awesome. I was like, so yeah, like having that exclusive stuff is great, and it didn't need a freaking Loot Crate sticker on it. That would have, if anything, I probably would have devalued it by doing that.
That's how I feel about it. And a lot of the I wish I had my bookshelf next to me so I could show you. There's a couple of book boxes, like it's like Loot Crate, but it's like a literary box. And they do the same thing. They have cute things like book themed cups and book themed bookmarks and book themed t-shirts. Actually, I'm wearing one of the t-shirts. Exclusive
that's awesome.
T-shirts that you can only get if you're subscribed to like that month's box.
It's brilliant.
But they also do these limited runs of books where it's books that have already been released that are like popular, like more well known. There's like an adult and a young adult box, but they have an artist do an exclusive cover. That's
cool.
And so they have the cover jacket that's got like the exclusive cover, and then they also have the hardback is like an exclusive, like filigree gold, design.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then on the border, they paint I actually have to go get it. Talk about some exclusives, and I'll go grab this book.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is something that Greg and I were chatting about, and I would definitely love this idea of being able to eventually, when we get to the scale that we want to, I want to have enough. Comic book stores that we can actually have certain stores have exclusive covers for our comic books. So like if you want to get this particular variant, you can only get it at this store or on eBay.
Oh, if you put like a certain variant cover on it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Variant covers per store. Like, if you want the New York cover, right? If you want the Arizona cover. Cool. And I think that would be just such an incredible idea. Oh, I just realized she has the Secret Labs.
Oh, yeah.
I just noticed that she's got the Titan one, I think, because I got the Omega.
That's what the T stands for.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Mine's Omega.
Is there an alpha one, I'm guessing?
What?
Is there alpha?
No, I think there's 2 Omegas and then there's the Titan. There's 2 variations of the Omega. And I think the Titan. I think Josh has the Titan.
Adam Fields was looking for like a new computer chair or whatever.
This one 100%. Like this.
I said this chair, like the link on Amazon, and I was like, "Oh, what about this chair?" He's like, "Oh, that looks so comfy." I'm like, "Well, it is."
Oh yeah, the Secret Lab chairs.
Yeah, look. Yeah, see, I got it.
I got the small Titan, which I like, and it's got like the magnetic pillows. So
that's awesome. Which year did you get? Is that the 21?
I think this is the 21. So I like it. They did a couple upgrades. They made the arms magnetic
Come off?
and removable. Yeah, so they're magnetic. So when you know how they wear down after a while?
Yeah. So you can swap them out. That's awesome.
Yeah, so they just pop off and then you just snap back on the replacement.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wish they did that to mine because I have this tendency to lean on my left arm
and so
way more, and it tore off the leather a little bit. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, my husband just got a new one. They were doing a sale. They had a bunch of them for $300 instead of $600.
So I got the one in 2020 in 2021, and because yours is magnetic, I'm like, I bet that's the 2021. You probably got it this. Yeah, it was such a good deal, and they're rated like the number one gaming chair, I think, like 13 years running.
And they're so comfortable because, like, when I'm drawing, I sit really high and I sit forward, so I can like bend it forward, so I still have that lumbar support.
Oh, yours like this doesn't.
It goes like all the way.
Oh, you talk about the. Oh yes, yeah, that.
And it goes all the way back.
Yeah. See, it like leans forward.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the strap for the pillow.
Yeah, that's what mine is.
But his is like so worn down. I mean, he bought his, I think, in like 2017, 2018, like when they first came out. And so his like arms are destroyed. The seat's starting to wear out because he sits in it every single
Does he have the leather or the fiber one? Is the one you have, the cookies and cream fiber one?
No, mine's the leather one.
It's awesome.
Leather. Yeah.
I didn't. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, because the cookies and cream used to only be the whatever the fiber one was, because my cousin got the fiber one.
No, this is leather. I wanted leather. I wanted it to like hold up and everything.
Yeah.
And so he just got a new leather one because he liked my magnetic arms, because he wears a lot on, leans on one or the other, and so it's rubbed that leather off. And so the new ones are actually not leather handles. They're like
hard plastic.
They're like EVA foam.
Oh.
Yeah, so they're like EVA foam on top of plastic.
That's interesting.
And they're super easy and cheap to like pop off and just buy a new set and pop them back on. Where to get his arms replaced was going to cost $70 per arm. Yeah. Because they were going to have to send a whole arm. Like the whole arm, not just like the top of it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what these. Yeah, I think these are individually. Yeah, it's all the way to the base. For these, I don't think I can pop off the top in any fashion.
It's the whole base, and that was one of the big things that they redid, is that they made it a lot more modular, so you could easily replace the parts that wear out the fastest.
Well, it makes sense too, because like when you assemble it, like even the 2021, like what's it called? Where is it? No, where's this thing? I'm trying to. Basically, they're like magnetized. This, I want to break it. Pretty sure it's this. I don't want to break that.
Oh, the side pieces? Yeah.
I'm trying to remember where they. Oh, there it is. Yeah, like the side pieces are magnetic, and they. Like,
those are still magnetic on this one.
Well, that's what I mean. Though, like this one started to like do it. Like the base is magnetic. It just pops into it. It doesn't even screw anything in. It was like so easy to assemble. So it makes sense that they would just keep adding magnets till eventually the whole thing you can replace, just pop off the arm. It's so awesome. It's so cool.
No, that was really nice. And then the new ones have built-in lumbar support, so you don't have to. So like it's actually got an adjustable lumbar.
Oh, it's in the seat, right? I have like the pillow, and I have to like move it all the time.
Yeah, no, the one that I have is actually like in the seat, and I can just turn the knob.
Yep.
I've seen up and down, in and out, which is really nice.
Wow, kind of want that there.
Yeah,
and they're like a great deal if you get them the year after. Like if you buy them right after the new one comes out.
Yeah. No, they're great. So these are some of the exclusives. So they do like a, different cover than from the original cover.
Wow,
all the spines are either like painted.
The gold foil.
So this one is like the gold foiled. And then they do like a special interior.
Oh, nice.
Special.
Oh, the gold foil cover is nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So there's some that are, and everyone's different, but it was so unique because you could only get this one like through the box, and the box was so popular. You would, so like this is another one, was just like a limited art cover.
The holographics, yeah.
I
love the interior cover pages. Like those are nice.
So this one you can't see as well because it's like embossed.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, when you just moved it. That's awesome.
Like, the camera doesn't show it as well, but so different from just picking it up at Barnes & Noble or Amazon. But you had to be on the book list, and this book list got so like popular because everybody wanted it that oh, this is a cool one. That if you joined, like you wouldn't get a box for like 3 months because they were that far behind.
I like that. Yeah, that looks better than the dust cover. And then the inside, it looked like dragon scales on the inner pages.
Yes. Yeah. This one's my favorite. They did like painted vine work.
Oh, yeah.
And then the whole like
it's
an autumn tide, so it's like a fantasy like fairies and stuff book. So the whole inside is like just highly detailed like artwork.
See, that's the type of stuff I'd love to do with like, yeah, that's gorgeous. Yeah. I'd love to do that type of stuff for like the graphic novels we eventually want to put out, because like our like flagship comic is like extremely long. Like it's going to be it's going to be a 3 trilogy series, and each of the awesome. Each part of the trilogy is going to be like 20 comics long. So like this thing could be a singular book eventually. And I think like having an awesome cover with all the fixings on that would be like absolutely incredible.
Well, that's like how Wolf and I. It's going to be like a 20 issues comic. It was originally written to be like a novel, and then with just the time and being a self-critic, it never got put out as a novel. So I just started putting it out 1 issue at a time, as a comic. And so the big goal is once I have like, to do like 3 trade paperbacks and have like unique interiors and fun art you never saw in the comics and different covers and stuff.
Yeah, that's how the Seer Chronicles started with us. Mm-hmm. Well, me was I first wrote it like 2014 or whatever, and it was a novel. And I didn't sleep for like 4 years, and then I just kept writing it, and then met Dylan or whatever, and then he's like, "Oh, this is more of a storyboard." So then we had to like skip it around, and yeah, it's pretty long. So
it's kind of nice because comics can be a little bit of everything. They can be a short, 1, 2, 3 issue, like start to finish comic, and then there's some of them that are issues and issues and issues to tell a full story. And being a reader myself, like that appeals to me. I like comics that I know I can jump on. And, and I'm in it for a few issues at least, before, as the story builds up and you like really get into the characters and you start to know the side characters, and that, leaves you on a cliffhanger ready to read the next one. And so that appeals to me. But that's the nice thing. There's a comic for everybody. There's some people that like the quick one and done, like 1 issue and you're done, or the anthologies that are like mini stories, or, the trilogy series and then being done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have multiple different series, and I know when they're going to end and how they're going to end, and then how many issues there's going to have for whatever series. And there's going to be a one-shot. I only know of one shot that I'm actually going to put out so far, and it's like a serial killer story because it's connected to the flagship thing. So
yeah.
By the way, what was that box that you get that stuff in? Like, what's the name of that? Like crate?
The book box. It my brain is pulling a blank on it. You know what? Here, look, the bookish box.
The bookish box. That's funny.
So they have a young adult one that does a lot of like fantasy, sci-fi, fairy tale, and then they have an adult box that's a lot more like, it's still fictional books, but some are like romance and some are adult fantasy, adult sci-fi books. They're pretty neat. I think it's there's a couple different ones. I think I looked at 3 or 4 book boxes before I like settled on one that I wanted to get. But this one's been really neat because it's, every box you get 5 or 6 different things, and I've got, you get a t-shirt with everyone, a book with everyone, and then the other stuff kind of varies, month by month. So I've got in bookmarks and postcards and, cups and blankets and like reusable
candles,
spoons. You get a candle with everyone. That's like character themes.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. So there's been like Harry Potter candles, and I think one had a Twilight candle, and then one had a I mean, I have like 10 Kindles at this point. So like they just pick a character from like sometimes well known, sometimes not as well known, and so they kind of try to cycle through. And so, but there's a couple different boxes that are doing like book themed stuff, and it's just, you know, as a book reader, it's kind of fun to have book stuff and to go around and, you know, wear a book shirt and someone's like, hey, that's from whatever, and you're like, yes, you know, fellow bookworms uniting. Because some of their books, like this one that I have, is just a literary book, like a book wanderlust, so like just books in general. But some of them have been like based on specific books, like Blood and Ash, or ACOTAR, or I have a Lord of the Rings one that I got a couple months ago. And so definitely, like, you find people that you never realized like don't look like bookish people from the outside, that like you realize there's a lot more readers out there. And I think COVID really like reignited a lot of people's like spark for reading too.
Yeah, I didn't have anything else to really do. Like, I need to stay in and read.
Well, and I think people like forget how much reading, like they think like, oh, I could read, but I could be doing so much more, going somewhere else, or maybe it's just a waste of time. I'm like, but you also just spent an hour and a half scrolling on TikTok that you could have finished half a book in that time. And you probably would have gotten more out of the book and a half than you would have out of scrolling for TikTok for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So
And you can go somewhere if you're reading, because then you go into a fictional world.
You can. And you learn life lessons, and, you know, you imagine yourself as somebody else, and it's, you know, lets those good hormones come out, so you fit your feel-good vibes. You don't always get that scrolling on TikTok.
Yeah. No, that's definitely cool. I love stuff like this too, like this bookish, the bookish box and shop. But it's just the idea of being able to build a community, like what we were talking about before, like what, you know, back to the Gamestop thing. It's like building a place where people can join, you know, like the Barnes and Nobles, like customized experience. You know, I think that's something that a lot of independent comic creators need to actually learn, is that brand is very powerful. Like if you build a community around something, because brand isn't what you draw, it's not your logo, it's not your slogan, it's not your mission statement, it's what everybody else says about you when you're not in the room and they're thinking about your company. And like, the only way to actually affect that is doing stuff like this, like building out quality stuff for the people that are real fans. Like that's why we do like Easter eggs in our comic books for those people that, you know, are willing to read 20 comic issues, right?
Yep.
That one thing, it's finally out. Now I know what it means. It's been there the whole time. I've seen it.
Yep.
You know, it's those little details. There's a comic book company, IT Comics, that when they first came out, one of the things they did was on one of their inside pages, they had a little it's a binary code right there. So it's just a bunch of zeros and ones. Yeah. And I got this like immediately. Like I got it like at the New York Comic Con in 2018. And I actually messaged their Instagram. And it was like, I know what it says. It says hope. And they're like, oh, wow, you're the first one to message us. Like, I was like, that's awesome. Like, yeah, there's no prize or anything. But it was just like, it was just a cool thing. Like I got some insider secret nobody else understood. And so it's like, yeah, I love that stuff. And, you know, if you do enough of that for the, you know, your fans, like that's how you'll keep them, and that's how you get them coming back for more.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. You need that draw. You need a reason. You know, you have somebody who buys your comic book once, you know, supports you or thinks it's a cool concept, but you have to have that draw. Like, what are you going to do to keep bringing people back?
Yeah. We have a comic that might be coming out this year. I don't know, because of the artist's life right now. But it's called Ink 2. It's the second one of that. And we're going to have like a whole decipher, like a whole cipher thing. And we made a whole alphabet. We like created an alphabet.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like, yeah. So I can't wait to do that.
Yeah, I'm so excited about that.
You know, like, what is this? And be like, figure it out.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that's like, yeah, definitely the Easter eggs, the little you know, clues hidden and stuff that you got to figure out what it means. Like, yeah, I think that's like
there's going to be the first connection throughout a bunch of different of our comics is finally going to be like, you'll be able to see that once like that comic comes out. Like, oh, it's in more than one comic.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Just like that subtle hint. So we have something like that in Wolf and I. There's a pendant symbol that kind of like starts appearing like here and there. You start to see it more and more. It's like, there's a scroll in one of the books that the main character gets that kind of warns her she's in danger and to like come to this person's house, and like stamped in the wax seal is this symbol. And then, it's on the hilt of like a dagger, and then it's on a necklace somewhere. And so it builds up so that in issue 5, we can really like explain like what the symbol means. And so if you hadn't read the previous issues and like caught on to that, it's going to be like an aha moment. So it's kind of exciting.
That's awesome. That's very cool. So wait, so you said issue 5 is the one that's coming up next?
Issue 4 is the one that's on Kickstarter now. Issue 5 is
when the reveal.
When the reveal is going to happen. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So issue 5, I'm hoping at the end of this year, late fall, early winter, or depending on an artist's life, spring 2023. We'll see how life goes. But it's coming, that's for sure. It's in the works.
Nice. Yeah. So let's see issue. I'm just writing stuff down too. I'm trying to keep show notes as we do this stuff, because like it's every time we always post and we're always like, oh yeah, we have to like, we should have taken notes. It's like, I think the worst thing is like we could watch it all through again and then take notes. It's like, yeah, it's so weird watching yourself.
It is a little bit strange, I will admit it, because I stream on Twitch, not as regularly as I used to. I was telling Greg, but I would stream like doing my art and working on the comic, and sometimes streaming like baking and stuff or sewing. And I'd like have to go through and like watch like a recap or something, and I'm like, ooh, that's so weird watching myself or listening to myself. And I was like, sometimes you think like you look or sound a certain way in your head, but even like when you're watching yourself on like the view screen, but then you go back and you're like, I don't know, that's not the same way that like I saw it in my head. Or like on my Twitch, you can put like a mini like 30-second video of like what the stream is about. So it's like a bunch of little clips put together. And it's funny to see like the different, you're like, oh, like this looks so different or sounds so different from these other times. And it's, because everybody's different, like on different days, different times of the day. And so it's kind of funny to go back and reflect on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I want someone just to like, because like I'll stream on Twitch too, and I just want someone that like watches and then just clips the stuff out that's good for me, and so I don't have to go through it again later.
Right.
And it was funny actually. My little brother he couldn't game with me one day, but he was able to watch my stream, and so he clipped one of the things, and it was just me completely like I play Rocket League, and it's like going to take the shot and just completely failing. Like it was, and it's funny too because like I'm in like champion level. Like I'm in champion level, so I should be doing really good. And you just watch me like fly right past the ball and never even go out. And I was like, it was like embarrassingly bad. And I'm like, I just want a compilation of stuff like that. It'd be hilarious, but like having to go through and crop it later, I'm like, oh. It's like,
no, that's kind of what I have for like the preview. So when I graduated in 2020, I couldn't like have a graduation party because of COVID. Like that was peak COVID. I didn't walk at graduation. And so I just had like a little like Twitch graduation party, like, yay, thanks, celebrate with me. I made a cake. Well, my daughter, I made a mini cake and a big cake, and my daughter smashed the cake into my face live on Twitch. It was planned. So that was going to be the funny thing, is I was going to let her, I made this like gourmet, like triple layer chocolate peanut butter caramel like cake. And, in celebration of graduating, I was going to let her, smash it in my face. And so she like goes to smash it. And then she's like, wait, take off your glasses, Mom. I don't want to ruin them. And I was like, okay. So I took off my glasses. I was like, I'd rather you smash me, than get cake in my eyeballs, but okay. And so she goes to smash it and she hesitates. So my husband comes up, grabs the plate, and just squishes it all in my face. I probably had like 50 people watching at the time. It was hilarious. And I had so many people like clip it. So I have all these clips of just this like slow motion, like cake smash in the face. And I will say, like, I don't know if I would have wanted to go back and watch the whole video, because it was like a 5-6 hour stream. It was a lot. Like it just kept going. Like it kept building up momentum. But, having those like clipped memories was kind of cool.
Yeah, I had when we do our virtual Comic Cons, I'm the one that actually has to edit and break them apart, and it takes forever.
Yeah, they're like 8 hours or 12. Or what was the last one? Was it 12 hours? Did we go 8 to 8? No, we went from like 11 to 8.
Yeah,
right?
It's
Still a long time.
But
Yeah.
so I had to like go through, and then 2 of the ones that I like edited, somehow like the file got corrupted. I was like, "Are you serious? Did all that work?" And it was about like Kickstarter and stuff. I was like, all right, I guess.
Oh no.
So
It's always about Kickstarter. It's always the Kickstarter that's gonna ruin, right?
But yeah. So besides being a nurse and Twitch and all that other stuff, reading.
I get bored easy, so I'm always like, what can I learn today? Let's pick up Spanish. What can I learn today? Let's learn to play the cello. What can I learn today? All right, we're gonna take old-fashioned swing dancing class. Like, I don't know.
Nice.
I think there's just so much life to live, and there's so many opportunities, and you're not gonna like everything or be proficient at everything. But it's nice to like continuously reach out and do the things that you want to do, because you never know how the people you're going to meet or the things that you try are going to impact like your main. So like by trade, I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner. I love to heal kids and help kids grow and help families and direct them. But by passion, I'm an artist. I love to write. I love to draw. I have since I was little, before I even knew I wanted to go back to, go to school and become a nurse or become a nurse practitioner. Like I wanted to be an artist. I've been drawing since long as I could remember and hold a pencil. And so, being able to make the story come to life and being able to make Wolf and I become like an actuality. And the fact that we're on issue 4 and we're actually like growing and it keeps, funding and coming to life is just amazing to me.
Yeah. You also cosplay. So
I do cosplay. It's one of those like I keep learning new things and keep trying new things. I have been sewing since I was like 8 years old, so a very, very, very long time, more than 25 years.
Like almost as long as I've been welding and building boats,
Yeah, like quite some time, almost a quarter of a decade here. A quarter of a century, not a quarter of a decade, quarter of a century. And so, yeah, I'm always, and not as much as I used to, just because I have a lot more hobbies and a lot less free time, but it's a lot
less time to do it in the last couple of years too.
Yeah, this is true too. And the mom life too kind of takes up some time there, but it's fun to get to dress up as, princesses or superheroes and just see the look on kids' faces when you're like, you're their hero and now they're like meeting you in real life.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever cosplay, maybe my own character at some point, but I'll have to wait to do that. But
it's never too late. I mean, there are characters from babies to old people, and I will tell you, you just put your mind to it and you can be whoever you want to be. A couple years ago, I wanted to be Gandalf, and I was. I'm a very short human. I'm pixie sized. I'm like barely 5'1". So I taught myself to walk on stilts. And I made this whole giant gray robe, and I bought the gray beard and the gray hair, and I made the hat, I made the staff, and I walked around Comic-Con in stilts, dressed up as Gandalf with all my little dwarves. It was great. It was challenging. And I have not, walked on stilts since then. It was quite an experience, but I did not fall over.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome. What's been, I guess I have 2 questions. The first one would be, what's something that was really easy to make but looked really amazing? And then the other, which is, what is like the most complicated thing you've made for like cosplay?
Ooh. I can't say I've made anything that's been super easy to make. I'm more of a like jump into the deep end of the pool every single time. And even things that like start off simple end up being super complicated. I'm like, what if we do this and do this? And now let's add LED lights. And I'm trying to think of.
So maybe to simplify it, like what was something that was easier than you thought to do, even if it was complicated? Like there's a lot of stuff, but it was like, oh, it's like really not that hard. I just got to do this, got to do this.
I guess Gandalf was the easiest to make because it was just like a robe and the hat and the staff. Like I learned to do like a lot of clay molding and painting with it. The hard part was like walking on the stilts. The costume itself was easy. My hardest costume to make was my most recent one. I did Belle from Beauty and the Beast. You probably saw that one, Greg.
Yeah.
And it was like 5 skirts, like multiple layers, corset, top piece, wigs, like gloves,
like the Renaissance fair, get up, yeah,
like the Disney Princess and the Parks Princess. And that was a good 3 to 4 months project of putting this together and sewing and gathering and hemming and trying it on and refitting. And so, but it definitely was my favorite all-time costume I've ever made.
I was going to say, luckily Belle comes with a library, so you were able to read about how to
right? I was like, I wish I had Belle's library.
And anything that was too heavy, you had a beast to carry it around, so it's perfect.
Right? No, that's where you put, like, your corset is what supports the whole weight of the skirt. That's people all think about corsets as being shaping, but in reality, a majority, like the good reason for corsets is to carry the weight of the skirt, so it's not all resting on your hips. It supports it throughout your whole core.
It's like trying to grab shelving on your whole torso. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And pockets for days under hoop skirts. You can carry the kitchen sink if you wanted to.
It's like that's where Mrs. Potts and I forgot the teacup's name.
Chip.
There it was. Chip. I was like, yeah, he has the chip in him. Yeah.
No, that one was really great. And eventually one day, so my character up until now has had like normie human clothes, but in issue 5, she kind of, gets to this point where she's transformed and gets her like official, like iconic costume, I guess I would say, which hasn't been revealed yet. And so I'm excited to like bring out the iconic costume, and we're still making a couple of tweaks here and there with the artwork. Because I want to make a costume of it, and so I'm excited.
So switching from the hoodie to the full Spider-Man suit, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. We're doing a whole Peter Parker thing here. Instead of doing like the Thor, where he went from his like godly state to like the, I guess, fat Thor, where he's just wearing a hoodie and sweatpants. We're going the other direction.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, one thing I want to happen is I want to see somebody cosplay one of my characters, so I can't wait just to see that. So yeah,
an unprovoked one, like somebody doing it just because they're a fan.
That's like, because they're a fan.
I want you to do this.
With fan art, like I want to see, like I love variant covers, and that's one of the things that, like with my Kickstarter, is that I have a couple of different variant covers because I love to see my characters through the eyes of other artists. But I'm really excited to get to a point where I see random people drawing fan art from the comic because they like it. You see people draw Spider-Man and the princesses and all of this, but it's like I want to see indie comics get their spotlight and start to see fan art of indie comics.
Yeah,
like years ago, we had a guy on Twitter that randomly drew one of our characters.
Mm-hmm.
The character doesn't like exist yet, but it exists, and he drew that character. His name's Grave. And he was going to be like our Deadpool type character, but it was too much like Deadpool. We have to
make some modifications.
Yeah, like his colors were red and black, and Dylan's like,
a little on the nose.
Maybe too much on the nose here.
So the guy did like fan art, and it was like Sauron, and like Deadpool mashed together.
There's more like Shredder. Shredder from like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
You're like you can't cross that boundary of everything's built upon something else. Like all ideas, have a foundation. Even if it's not modeled after a certain character or a certain story, we're all influenced by what we read growing up, what we read now, what we see now. And then it just kind of evolves with our imagination from there. But you're like, you don't want to cross those boundary lines of, being too similar to something.
Yeah, I don't know if this is something I heard about music or if it's just art in general, but it definitely applies to art in general. Like if you steal one idea, you know you're a plagiarist, but if you steal 100, you're a genius, right? It's like
Yeah.
because that's like Picasso's quote: "A good artist copy, a great artist steals," and it's the idea that everything's already been done before. It's how and that's what, like, back to the reading thing. Like that's why it's so good to just absorb a lot of information, because that allows you to pull more information from more databases to make a more unique combination. You can never make something like purely unique because every idea has been thought of already. It's mostly how you combine them that hasn't been thought.
And it's not like we're born with like, we're born with like blank, as babies. We're not influenced yet. But you're not writing your comic as a baby with these fresh ideas. You're not writing your art, your comic until you're a kid or a teenager or an adult. And you've already been influenced by hundreds of thousands of books, hundreds of thousands of comic books, hundreds and thousands and millions of images of artwork or news stories or real life stories, people that have influenced you, life events that have influenced you. So even somebody who's like, oh yeah, this is my unique character, not build or based on anything, I'm like, that is a lie. That is a lie. Everything is built upon something, and be proud of your foundation, because if you have a strong foundation, you're going to go somewhere. And you have something to draw from, and knowing what people like and what people don't like, and being able to like channel that into something that's unique but has a strong foundation.
Yeah.
Solid. Words.
No, it is true though. I also agree with the fact that, like, if someone says something's not influenced by something, if that is actually true, it probably sucks. Like, to be honest, like something Greg and I on different podcasts have mentioned this, where it's like, everyone gets influenced by something, and if you try to break all the rules of storytelling, which basically are things you've been influenced by, normally your story is not going to be good, right? If you break all of them, like the greatest stories of all time follow the exact rules of the story and then break one of them, where they break two of them. They don't break all of them, because then it's not a good story, right? Parts of those story arcs are important.
Middle, end. You have the protagonist and antagonist. You have some sort of conflict or quest or question, and then you have a resolution. If you don't have a resolution, people just are like,
well, so here's the interesting thing. Like, of all those rules you just mentioned, I know specific examples that broke just one of them. Quentin Tarantino, beginning, middle, end. Nope. Yeah, he's got end, beginning, middle, right? Like, so, like, or sorry, middle, beginning, end, right? And then you said no resolution. The Sopranos, right? Like, that's what makes them great, is they only broke one of the rules.
Yes.
Right? They followed the rest. You got this perfect arc. Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta have that catch and the hook and snare. You gotta like keep somebody going. And like people say, like, you have to catch somebody within the first couple of pages of a book, or the first, otherwise they're not gonna want to finish the book. It's very, I'm a person who doesn't like to put a book down. There are very few books that I have not completed, and I usually get to the end and I'm like, okay, I wish I really hadn't read this because it was awful. But there's been a couple books that, I have read, and it's taken me much longer than other books because I read them, read a couple pages, put it down, read a couple pages, put it down. Finally, by like page 100, now these books are like 700 pages. I'm like, okay, now I'm getting into it. But had that book started with something that I was like, from page 1, page 2, I was like, this is amazing. I'll sit till 3 o'clock in the morning reading it. And I'm like on Amazon or going to the bookstore the next day to buy book 2, buy book 3, like right away. And, I think there's something special about being able to catch your audience like that.
Yeah. So we have the 3rd issue of Seer Chronicles coming out next year. But the 4th one is the one that I'm actually excited about, because it's one of the first times that I wrote it as like Quentin Tarantino style. The original story was written like that, and then we had to change it because things. But the 4th one is like, there's something that happens in the very beginning, and then we go back in time, and then we go back to that spot later on in the story. And they're like, oh, that's that person. And I'm like, yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited for that too.
Oh yeah. Just that like roundabout being like, wait a minute. Oh my gosh.
It's the guy from the thing with the place with the face.
That one guy.
And I watched The Sopranos for the third time ever in my life a couple of months ago, and I actually liked the ending after watching it for the third time. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
like fuck you.
Yeah, it's done very artistically because it's kind of like Cowboy Bebop. It was one season and it ends perfectly. People wanted more. That means it was good. If you jump the shark, right? That's the whole point of that saying. Like if you jump the shark, it's not going to be as memorable as if it's just this, perfect ending. You're like, oh, I want more, and now you're thinking about it longer, even though it's already done.
Oh, I think that's great. I think having that like catcher that people like keep, but what about this? And what about this? And what's going to happen next? Is there going to be a next like that? Like, wait, let me watch that again to make sure like I didn't miss anything. And that's when you get those repeat readers, repeat watchers, when you have little things that you're like, wait, did I miss something? And I love reading books that like I've read thoroughly and I loved, and then I go back and I read it and I'm like, how did I miss that?
Yeah.
How did I not see that?
Even
and that's really exciting. Or you're beating yourself up. You're like, I can't believe I didn't see that sooner. Like all the signs were there, and I totally like glazed over them during the first read.
Yeah, even movies. I've watched Harry Potter series.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
Dozens.
I don't know how many actual times.
I was like, I've lost count at this point.
But there's still things that I find in it, and I'm like, I've watched this like 20 times, more than that, obviously. But I'm just like, how did I not know like that character did that thing? I just watched it like.
Or like this person was like an actor. Like, how did I know not? Like, I'm watching new movies, and I was like, wait a minute, this actor seems really familiar. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that this person was this person. Now, granted, it's been 10 years, it's been 15 years. People change. And with acting, there's a lot of costumes and makeup and special effects and stuff. But yeah, it's really interesting. Or seeing like the little like Easter eggs that you didn't notice the first time or the second time that like really come out.
Yeah, that stuff's awesome. Cool. Well, definitely, this has been a fun podcast. I know that we chatted more beforehand. We jumped in with the smack talk and GameStop. But yeah, it's been pretty awesome.
Easy to smack talk though. It's hard not to.
Yeah, they're just like standing in the road. You're like, come on, move, and they're like, we don't want to. I guess. But yeah, so definitely a good podcast. But before we head out, I want to say, where do people go to find you?
Yeah, everybody can find me. I try to keep my social media easy. I have Flirtability. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, all the places. And then comic itself has an Instagram, Wolf and I Comics, so pretty easy to find, and it's on our link tree. So if you go to any of our social media, you can link to everywhere else. We do have a comic that is live on Kickstarter right now. This is issue 4, but you can get issues 1 through 4. There are catch-up tiers, add-ons, different things, and all of those links are on our social media as well. And that ends June 30th, which I'm super excited about.
Nice. Cool. Thanks for coming on to the podcast, and I'm sure you'll be back another time to chat about that amazing 5th issue.
I was like, Greg and I talk all the time. It's just our first time we've been on the podcast.
Awesome. Maybe next time we'll have a whole podcast that's just like the beginning before we hit record.
Right?
Smack talk companies.
We can go in circles for hours about it.
Awesome. Well, thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much for having me on.